Okay, now moving along down those AI nodes, those silly AI nodes. Next one we're going to be looking at is the text classifier. Um, and so this one's pretty cool because there's a ton of different ways to use them. Information extractor, you're pretty much just going to be extracting information using AI. And the thing about all this kind of stuff is you could get the job done. All of these different AI nodes, you could get the job done by hooking up just a simple message model, prompting it, getting what you need, and then maybe you'd have to go through a couple other nodes to potentially split up the data a little bit or route it differently. And so that'll make more sense in a sec. But the idea here is just being able to understand which node is best at which job, and then grabbing that and just having it, wrapped up into one piece rather than having to do a couple different things. So I'll explain that in a sec near the end of this. But first, what we're going to do is just talk about what this does. You're going to be dragging in text. It's going to be looking at some field of text and it's going to be classifying it. So based on how you prompt it and based on the categories you give it, which could be like 20 categories, it could be two, it could be five. Based on the descriptions of each category, it's going to take the text, read it using AI, of course. So we have to connect a chat model. That's how we know it's an AI node. I'm going to do Google Gemini Flash 2.0. But it's going to look at the descriptions you've set and then it's going to pass it down that branch. So let's hook this bad boy up and let's look at what we have here. So we have, hi, my name is Alex from Visionary Tech. We need an AI automation to streamline our customer onboarding process. Our team consists of around 75 employees, and we're working with a budget of 15 to 20K. Ideally, we'd like this project completed in the next 2 months. So I don't know what the use case is here. What do we want to classify this on? Do we want to classify based on industry and send different lead submissions down different industry paths? Because maybe Mark is in charge of the finance industry audit, requests, and Sarah is in charge of the marketing requests. So it could be that. Maybe we want to route them off different ways based on the size of the company. So we'll look at the employees and we'll route them off different ways. Or maybe it's based on budget. And then we sort of like have high priority leads, medium priority leads, low priority leads, that kind of stuff. So in this case, let's just stick with that example of looking at budget. So we're just going to do two branches. So first thing, we have to drag in the text to classify, which we can do JSON.query. As we know, it's coming in from the immediate node that was previous to this node. So this is the text we're classifying. As you can see, we've got the chat right there. And now we need to start adding our categories. We can also come down here and see that we can add a system prompt template, which I usually don't touch this because that's the whole point of this node, is that it's baked in. Please classify the text provided by the user into one of the following categories. And then this is a placeholder that will just have all the categories we make. So you don't have to touch this. And then use the provided formatting instructions below. Don't explain and only output the JSON. That's the part you could touch if you don't like the output, but I don't usually touch it. So let's say here we're going to do, high priority. And so the descriptions is where you have to be pretty robust. And I'll show an example later. I'll actually show two examples. As you can see, two tabs I've got pulled up here. Anyways, for now, we're just going to say, any form that has a budget of over, let's just say, $15,000. And then we're going to add one called low priority. And same thing, any form that has a budget of less than, actually for this one we'll go 5K. And then let's add another category in the middle. Currently you can't change the order in this node. You can in other nodes, but so that's going to be a little annoying because you know what? Never mind. Let's just switch it. I don't know why I was acting like that was impossible to do. We're going to make this one medium. And this is going to be any form that has a budget of, I got rid of low. Any form that has a budget of, so what is this going to be? Between 5K and 15K. Okay. So if we just test this right now, it should be looking at it and put this out at high priority. So you can see high priority, one item, medium priority, no items, low priority, no items. And as you can see, it created three different branches. So now we could drag out this way and we could send an email to our high priority team or our best sales team. My phone. Let me just chug this on do not disturb. Anyways, so that's the value here. We have three different options and we can add more categories. And then it's going to add more branches, right? So let me just get rid of that one again. And we will see that if we came in here and we changed this to, our budget is $17. This should, I really hope this gets marked as low priority. We'll watch it right here. One item, low priority branch. And then, of course, if we were to change this to, 10,000, or actually let's say 10K, and see if it can pick it up, because we did sort of different ways that we just explained it in here. We said 5 and 15K. There we go. This one got put medium branch. So 15K, 5 and 15K, less than 5K. So that's a really quick way. And the reason why I'm saying like that's wrapped up better than if we were to do an agent. So, like what you could do is you could basically feed this through just an agent or a message model node and say, hey, looking at this incoming text, I need you to label our lead as high, medium, or low priority. And you could give it the descriptions and it would do so. But all it would do from there is you could be able to get it to output certain information. So let me just show you guys. It'll be easier here. So let's just say I wanted to do an OpenAI message model, and we did message model. We're basically going to say, label the lead form as high, medium, or low priority. And then we could define them here. So high priority is anything budget greater than 15K. And I'm just kind of trying to do this really quick, so this isn't perfect. Medium priority is budget in between, what it was, 5 and 10, 15, 5 and 15K. So bear with me here. I'm just trying to show why the text classifier node is better. Budget less than 5K. Okay. And then of course, that's sort of like the system message. We want to add a user message, which is going to be, here is the lead form. We'll chuck in the lead form right there. And so we output this. Oh, I need to choose a model. We'll go with 4.0 mini. And so this should accurately be able to say, hey, this is the role, or the lead form would be labeled as medium priority. So that works, right? But now it's like, okay, so from here, what do we do with that? How do we get this to go down different paths based on what's going on? Well, what you could do is you could output content as JSON, and you could come back in here and say, only output high, medium, low. So this should understand that it needs to output just one word. So now we got just priority medium. So cool. Now we have, every time it's going to be either just medium, high, or low. But then we still have everything coming out of one branch. So then what you'd have to do here is you'd have to add a switch, and then you could set your values basically saying like, does this equal medium? If so, oh goodness gracious, I don't know what, whoa. Okay, get out of there. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so anyways, let's just pretend that it's not freaking out. We'd have one branch for medium, we'd have to set each branch, and then we'd be switching out routing this way. So it's like the exact same thing, but this is just one node rather than having to do that in two different steps and make sure it's outputting as JSON and all this kind of stuff. So that's why that's going to be a lot more efficient, right? So a couple examples. This first one, I don't think this is going to pull in an email. We'll see, like if it pulls in one that's actually going to get labeled. This is an email where it's basically saying, okay, I don't know what this is. Probably some spam notification I got. Let's see if it gets classified. Anyways, if I made a video about this. It was the agentic framework one. So I talked about routing, and I show a little demo of how this works. Inbox manager agent. As you can see, a high priority message gets sent to my high priority agent, who sends me a text and Telegram. Customer support goes to a customer support prompted agent, a promotion prompted agent, a finance prompted agent. So they're all different personas and they respond differently. You could hook up different databases to them based on the type of email coming through, of course. But what's going on in here is we set these categories again. So high priority. Emails requiring immediate attention or action, typically from key stakeholders. These emails are often time-sensitive requests, deadlines, or escalated issues. We gave it some keywords like urgent, ASAP, immediate, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with, promotions related to marketing campaigns, promotional offers, newsletters, or business updates from partners. Again, keywords. Giving examples and keywords is really helpful here. And then if you watch my sales team my human in the loop feedback one, where we're getting feedback, and then we're using this text classifier node to check the feedback. So what we're looking at is the feedback from the human. If you haven't watched that video, go give it a watch. It's pretty cool. When we get the email, we have the ability to respond to it, and we can either basically say like, fire it off, send it, good to go, or we can give feedback on how to change the email. So we have two branches here: approved. Approved is emails that have been reviewed and accepted. The human explicitly or implicitly expresses approval, and then we give it example phrases like looks good, approved, this works for me. And then same exact thing for declined. We said email has been reviewed, but the human requests modifications, like removing parts or rewording. Example phrases: can we tweak this part? Need some changes. Not quite right. Can you adjust this? Anyway, so then it would take the feedback and adjust it. But as you can see, we have two paths. We have two paths. On the approved branch, it actually sends the email. And on the decline path, it goes to the revision agent who looks at our feedback, looks at the email, revises it, and then it goes through the process again. And so it's going to be, checking every time until the human finally says, good. Okay. Yeah, so that's the text classifier node. Pretty cool. Thanks, guys.